Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with the weekly comic book roundup. We already covered this week's X-Men books as well as our one DC title of the week. Excuse me. Now we're covering this week's Empire tie-ins, as well as one from a couple weeks ago that I wasn't able to get when it first came out, which we will in fact be starting with. That one being Fantastic Four Empire number 0. So you might, those of you who watched last week's kickoff of the Empire books may have picked up a few things about in the Fantastic Four tie-in issue, namely that the FF had with them 2 children, aside from Franklin and Valeria, one a Kree, one a Skrull. Well, this is how they came to be, how the 2 children came to be in the custody of the Fantastic Four. We begin with an introduction to the Profiteer, yet another of the Elders of the Universe. She runs the Casino Cosmico, and she has spectators bet on reenactments of the battles from the Kree-Skrull War, fought between Joven, the Kree Chronicle of Blood, and Nakala, the Skrull Requiem of Shapeless Souls. And the way this works is actually kind of neat. A specific battle is picked, the first one being the Lava Waste of Larkana 6. Profiteer opines that the Lava Waste is an interesting choice, and historically the odds are the Skrull, but maybe fates will be kinder to the Kree this time. One never knows. So the 2 fight, with the Skrull turning into an Argovian Fang Bear, removing Joven's shield, only to have its throat cut by Joven. So Nakala is placed in medical stasis, with the Profiteer informed that it'll take about 3 to 4 hours to take care of her, to patch her up, Nakala. The Profiteer decides that 3 hours, not 3 to 4, 3 hours. That will be when the next bout is. And she says that the Casino Cosmico, the Kree-Skrull War, never ends. Meanwhile, with the Fantastic Four, they're out of gas. They signal a ship, and well, a ship comes and informs them that the credits are no longer good throughout the quadrant. They're on a barter system now. The thing is recognized, and the captain of the ship immediately presumes that the thing must be here to check for the all-challengers welcome fight at the Casino Cosmico. So, Johnny, being, well, Johnny friggin' Storm, jumps on this and says, yes, that's absolutely, there's a prize involved. And so the FF make their way towards the casino. One of the Profiteer's assistants suggests that while the Profiteer is lamenting how swiftly the Kree-Skrull bouts are going, one of her assistants suggests that maybe the next fight should, be postponed. Give the fighters time to rest, explaining that's what the casino's previous owner would have done. And the Profiteer explains that that's why her brother, the Grandmaster, is the previous owner. She goes on to add that because the whole thing was merely a game to him, to her it's business. And so as the FF arrive at the casino, Johnny basically goes into hype man mode. Franklin and Valeria are left with with the Fantastic Four's ship, with Valeria deciding, hey, we'll trade in the ship, get some chips, and make enough money to fix the ship and maybe put some spinning rims on it. And she'll figure out the games and beat the odds. And so, for the entrance fee into the for everything, the thing he has to give up his vibranium cast, which he got for taking out the Hulk. He planned to hold on to it as a keepsake. He told he'll get it back if he wins. And then the FF hear about the Kree Skrull reenactment, which kind of makes the Invisible Woman and Mr. Fantastic wonder just why there would be a reenactment. Is the war over? With Reed thinking that one side must have finally prevailed. They couldn't possibly be at peace, could they? And so they watched the battle on lightning minefield of Outpost Omega. And Reed's wondering what could have changed. What could have stopped the war? And they give a quick version of how the FF met Raxnor and Beldan, a Skrull and a Kree who were supposed to basically be the final combatants. However, the FF tricked them into an alliance to fight them, and for a while peace was declared. It's explained because Thing wasn't there. It was after the first Secret Wars, and Thing opted to stay on the Beyonders planet. However, Reed does also mention that something's up. Mentions the events of Incoming, that how he and Blue Marble came across Beldan and Raxor on Earth, working together in secret, and whatever it was they were working on got them killed. And now it seems the Kree Skrull War has ended. Everywhere but the casino. And so Reed realizes something's going on, and he's going to have a look around. So Sue goes with him to make the two of them invisible. Back with Franklin and Valeria, they tricked the door people into letting them into the casino, explaining that they're Valerians. An ancient race that ages very slowly. They're hundreds of years old. Valeria can't believe it would work and asks how did Franklin think of it, and basically says Baby Yoda, if he can be 50. Well, the gambling doesn't go as well as they'd hoped. As the fight continues, Ben and Johnny are watching, and Ben realizes that the two combatants are kids. Not just two soldiers like Beldan or Raxor. Two kids. So, Ben and Johnny jump in, basically forfeiting Ben's entrance into the fight. Because, hey, it's two kids fighting. That ain't right. And so, the Profiteer decides, well, okay, things have changed a bit. This will be more interesting. Reed shows up and opts to have a chat with the Profiteer. Who explains that she needs the Kree-Skrull War to continue. It's the gold standard of the universe. It's been a reliable constant. It contributes to the rebuilding of infrastructures, advancements in science, medicine, and of course, weaponry. She's also apparently known as the War Profiteer. Because, well, weapons. So, Reed tries to change things up a bit for the make the fight a little different, but Sue has noticed something on one of the screens. Franklin and Valeria gambling. Reed asks Sue decides she's going to go take care of the kids. Reed does ask that she be gentle with them and go easy on them, and well, she says she will go easy on them. After she kills both of them, they're grounded forever in the negative zone. So the fight continues with Jo-Ben, Nakala, Ben, and Johnny, and the battle changes. Back on the casino floor, they've got their let's just say that things are not going as well as possible as well as they could be for Franklin and Valeria. However, they get some invisible help. But it suggested that maybe they should cash out, but Sue has a better idea. Basically, they cheat at the various tables. The Profiteer's assistant has is noticing something strange going on at the tables. But she's a little too busy at the moment dealing with Reed Richards. And he has actually set the battlefield to be the Kree ruins from the blue area of the moon. Meaning that this time, Nakala and Jo-Ben must work together against Ben and Johnny. Also, Ben finds their kids' voices to be adorable. Nakala and Jo-Ben are both unsure what to do now. They actually had to work together in a fight rather than fight each other. What the hell? The Profiteer shows up with Reed in tow, not happy in the slightest, explaining that she basically owns Nakala and Jo-Ben. And, well, yeah, the FF2 have a problem with that. Because, and she also don't explain, her house, her rules. But, well, her assistant informs her, however, that Franklin and Valeria have broken the bank. They own practically all of Casino Cosmico, which Valeria automatically immediately wants to rename Casino Valeria. However, Stu insists that Valeria make the Profiteer an offer. The casino will be signed back over to the Profiteer in exchange for the rights, contracts, and whatever else they've got involving the two kids, and their ship and a tank of gas. Profiteer takes the deal. The FF and their new charges leave. And in fact, Ben even asks if maybe suggested maybe later the kids could show them some of those moves that they were doing back at the casino. So they fly off into space, arriving near home, and right in the middle of the Kree Skrull Armada. And that is where the issue ends. And was obviously continued in Empire #1 as well as Fantastic Four, so on and so forth. Moving on, we've got Lords of Empire, Emperor Hulkling #1. Now, for those who may be unaware who Hulkling is a Kree Skrull hybrid, the son of Marvel and a Skrull princess. He was hidden away on Earth from his grandfather, his Skrull grandfather, and raised as a human. After the Avengers were briefly disassembled after the Scarlet Witch incident, Hulkling, alongside Wiccan, the original Patriot, second Hawkeye, Stature, and Iron Lad formed the new Avenger, or the Young Avengers. Much to the chagrin of the, at the moment, not Avengers, but long-standing Avengers members. They fought Kang, who turned out to be the older version of Iron Lad. Hulkling and Wiccan fell in love. And then the truth of Hulkling's past was revealed. Past he didn't know about. He's a Kree Skrull hybrid and the son of, well, Marvel and Emperor and the Skrull princess. Blah, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. So yeah, he's got shape-shifting powers. You know, he is stronger than a regular human. Not actually Hulk-related though. So the issue begins on Tarax 4, the capital of the Skrull Empire, years ago. The Empress is lamenting the destruction of the Imperial capital. Princess Anel comes in. And yeah, things aren't going well. But because, Galactus is there to, chow down on the planet. Princess Anel tells her mother of what happened and that her son, Doric, was spirited away to Earth. This actually gives her mother some hope that maybe things might be better in the future. And then cuts to Hulkling in the present, at home, waiting on, alone, dealing with the fact that his boyfriend is off with the team he's been recruited into, Strike Force. He gets a text from Wiccan and a picture of the team. And apparently he's going out. It turns out he's going out with. That night he'll be going out for drinks with Wiccan's brother, Speed, and Prodigy, form on-off X-Man. And so they get to see a performer known as Crystal Mcron. Teddy kind of feels like a third wheel because, as he explains, what usually happens when he goes out with Tommy and David is that the two of them have 1.5 drinks and start making out, and then he becomes, well, squeaky third wheel. While they're talking, Raxter and Beldan show up with Raxter showing, saying, "Hey, I'm a Skrull. Beldan here's a Kree. We need to talk to you. Matter of grave importance." And hey, we need you to assume your birthright. However, it turns out that there are a bunch of Skrull religious fanatics in the bar. The Children of Lost Tarnax. So, fight breaks out between Speed, Prodigy, Hulkling, Rasper, and Beldan, and the Children of Lost Tarnax. The Children of Lost Tarnax immediately change their tune when Hulkling summons the Star Sword. It turns out that the Children of Tarnax were tracking Raxter and Beldan, however, not Teddy. And so he's got to decide, and he does end up deciding that after a quick flashback to his childhood, that he's gonna go. So Wiccan shows up. And Hulkling tells him what's going on. So they go to the throne ship, where they meet Tenelth the Pursuer, who immediately mistakes Wiccan for being Hulkling's pet. Wiccan puts a charm on Teddy's engagement ring, and Wiccan heads out. Hulkling explains that he'll take the throne, but no one's going to die. Peace terms. He also meets his royal guard, Captain Glory, and Sorceress Mergin, whom Teddy's met before. He's also once again introduced to Tanel's Skrull counterpart, Kulrit, the Super Skrull. His not killing anyone thing, he's a little fuzzy with that when it comes to Super Skrull, for good reason. And Super Skrull actually is apologetic about having killed Teddy's mother. So it's explained that the fleets are proceeding to the Titan Stargate around Saturn. However, Hulkling explains there's one stop he's got to make. He visits the grave of his father, Mar-Vell, before heading out to meet with the fleet. However, the Kree Utopians are attacking, and so big fight. Um, However, Wiccan shows up, helps save the day. Um, the two of them make some amusing Star Trek references. It's shown that Tanelf may have arranged the attack from the Utopians. Um, and then they get the news that Beldan and Raxor are dead. That night, Teddy and Hulkling and Wiccan spend the night together. The next day, however, Hulkling is basically informed that he's going to have to, sever ties with Wiccan. And so he does. Wiccan departs, saying, all hail the Emperor Doric, long and in glory may he reign. Later, Tanalf talks with the leader of the Unity forces. And, apologizes for not killing Doric. Well, say, Hulkling. But Tanalf says, hey, you and your troops performed admirably. The battle had its fallout and spooled exactly as she hoped. She and the Empire thanks the Utopians for their service and sacrifice. Tanalf then destroys initiates a self-destruct on the ship, on the Utopian's ship. And later on in the throne room, Wiccan actually does show up, and him and Hulkling have a heart-to-heart about things, and it's like, they didn't actually, basically he had his fingers crossed when he was, saying everything, and Wiccan gives him some advice, telling him that Hulkling's kind heart is the best part of him, and he's never alone. That's the deal forever. They kiss, and Wiccan tells Hulkling that to go save the world, save all of them, and he'll be home waiting for the prince to return. And that is where the issue ends. Which brings us to Empire number 2. Where we left off, the Kree Skrull Armada had arrived at Earth. The Avengers, working alongside their presumed allies, the Kotati, basically, did what they could to disable the Kree Skrull fleet, only for the Kotati to reveal their grand plan, wiping out all animal life, or all non-plant life in the galaxy, starting with the Kree Skrull Armada. The Avengers, however, for the assistance they offered, will be spared. And so, a lone ship passes Jupiter. Broadcasting an emergency beacon to Earth. Its masked pilot explains that The Avengers need to know what's on their doorstep before it's too late. On the blue area of the moon, Koi, the celestial, the what was it? The celestial Messiah, has Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America wrapped up in, well, trees, which has greatly angered Thor. And he learns, he goes into his backstory and what, led to the point they're at now. On the Kree ship, or on the Kree Skrull throne ship, Swordsman turns on Hulk, throws up an organic portal and exits through it. Basically saying, hey, I'm sparing you guys because you helped. So you can either stand aside or you can lie with the mulch. The talk between the big three of the Avengers and the Celestial Messiah continues, and does not go too well. However, more of his plans, more of what he's been up to, leading up to, or in preparation for the events of Empire, have been revealed. And it was around the time of incoming that they realized they were too stealthy, too slow. The Kree and the Skrull were faster. They recruited their hybrid emperor, Hulkling, of the Young Avengers. While the Celestial Messiah continues to monologue, there's a whistling noise, as of something falling. That something is Mjolnir, returning to Thor's hand. Thor manages to free himself as well as Captain America and Iron Man. The Celestial Messiah escapes. And the Kotati are gone. The rest of the Kotati are gone as well. But Black Panther informs them that the Kotati have arrived on Earth. And we see plants overgrowing in New York, in Manhattan. And so, Thor uses Mjolnir to open a portal from the blue area of the moon to Earth, while Carol Danvers is sticking around with the Armada. Working alongside Captain Glory and Super Skrull for the moment. On the flagship, the Kree and the Skrulls are having quite a time dealing with, the weaponized plant life. However, Hulkling's sword is able to free the Thing, as some Kotati seeds have started growing in the gaps between rocks on his skin. With that, the planets begin to retreat. So, Mr. Fantastic begins to ask about the sword, with Hulkling explaining it's a standard issue magic sword for the Hand of the King. It comes when he calls, it goes where he sends it, and it knows friend from foe. However, more importantly to Mr. Fantastic is the fact that it seems to disrupt Kotati influence. So he fears that they can absorb and redistribute that energy. Just as Captain Marvel shows up and volunteers, saying, "Not we, me." And it's explained it's a bit of a Hail Mary. Magical energy from an ancient alien artifact. Carol's not even sure. No one's really sure how it'll work on her. Can she absorb the energy? Can she contain it? Mr. Fantastic believes she can, but magic isn't exactly his strong suit. And so, and Hulkling, who knows the sword and the magic and the magic of it better than anyone alive, looks worried. So Hulkling runs her through with the sword. He explains that the pain hits Carol like her heart's on fire, like a heart attack, like death, but she holds it. Lets it build, let the pain build up. When she can't take another second of agony, she lets it build more and more. And she can't, but she has to. And all she is pain. And then the pain explodes. And she's dead. However, it turns out that it worked. Exactly like they thought it would. And she was close to dead, but they used Thanos' hammer to work as something of a defibrillator. Thanos then corrects and explains that it's not her hammer, but rather the hammer of the late Ronan, the Accuser, one of the Imperium's greatest heroes. However, she says she can't make the hammer sing as he did. Perhaps someone else could. And so Carol's offered the hammer, and once she touches it, it sings. Song of steel and fire, of righteous wrath and swift action, song of accusation. But there's power in the hammer, but it's power that she's going to have to watch carefully or it'll sweep her away. And so Carol becomes Carol the Accuser, and the coming of the Pyre is mentioned, which has Hulkling wondering, what? And Super Skrull explains to him, the Pyre, the power and responsibility of the Emperor, the death of the world at the Emperor's hands. That is where the issue ends. Which then brings us to our first tie-in miniseries, Empyre-Avengers, #1. So, the Gotati, as well as Kree and Skrull forces, are duking it out on Earth with, well, humans in the crossfire. The Avengers are gathered at the Garden, holographic briefing area aboard the Wakandan helicarrier. Various hotspots are being monitored. Iron Man's in his lab working on a weapon to reduce Gotati contamination. Doesn't have an ETA. It's more theory than application. Okoye explains that the agents of Wakanda are working side by side with the Avengers in several locations to ensure that the Kree-Skrull alliance does not endanger innocent lives. Mockingbird is having trouble processing the fact that the Skrull and the Kree are working together. Though a good point is made by Black Panther. The Kree-Skrull alliance may not be the direct enemy, but they are also concerned with their well-being in this conflict. They're both fighting the Gotati, but if Earth needs to burn to ensure their victory, Panther has no doubt the Alliance would happily set the planet ablaze. In Manhattan, Dr. Nemesis and Vision arrive at Central Park at the behest of Luke Cage because, well, the park's overgrowing. So, Vision goes intangible to see what's going on. Cage does tell him he thought about taking a swing at the fungus, but he figured cracking the top might be bad. And upon getting underneath the cover of foliage, Vision informs Luke Cage that his particular talents will be required in short order. In Mexico, Mockingbird, Wonder Man, and Quicksilver are going after a group of Kotati fighting, attacking a human population. Quicksilver's actually able to do some decent work at first, and then he gets stabbed in the shoulder. Wonder Man and Mockingbird then join the fray. And then in short order, the Kotati are subdued, and the Kree and the Skrull begin trying to kill them. However, the assembled Avengers-ish were like, hey, look, we get it. I hate to say it, but I'm kind of on the side of the Kree and the Skrull here. It's a war, a war with zero casualties doesn't happen. But the Kree and the Skrulls promptly take Quicksilver and Mockingbird prisoner, explaining that the Alliance will do what it must to ensure the survival of their species. Back at the garden, Black Knight is welcomed back to the superhero fold by Cap. And there's an energy surge from Antarctica, the Savage Land to be exact. So, Kazar, one of the agents of Wakanda, as well as Black Knight, Scarlet Witch, and Brother Voodoo head down, immediately finding a dead T-Rex. They're attacked by Kotati. The group does what they can to hold off the attack, but the Kotati the attack was mainly just to prepare for something else. The beast rises. The beast, in this case, being Man-Thing, who promptly fights our assembled heroes. However, Kazar's wife, Shanna, has also been somewhat plantified. And she welcomes Kazar home. And that is where the issue ends. Which then brings us to the next of the tie-in minis. Empyre X-Men #1. So the issue begins at Sanctum Sanctorum a year previously. The Scarlet Witch is looking to undo the damage that she did. To further undo the damage she did. So 3 months later, she goes to the remains of Genosha. 2 months later, over the course of the next 6 months, she builds a staff. And then a month ago, she's back in Genosha, and she states, holding her new staff, no one can undo the things they've done. She can ask forgiveness, and given enough time, she might even forgive herself. But the sin The sin of what she's done can't be painted over. It can't be scrubbed off or cut away. It's a wound too raw to ever heal. So she seeks not forgiveness, she seeks redemption, a greater good, a more moral right, an act that eclipses any other, a resurrection. She slams her staff into the ground and says, "Mutants of Genosha, live." And it seems like they do, or at least someone does, and she's kind of mortified to see what's happened. Now, the Gotati are using Genosha as a staging area for the strike on Wakanda. They found a local, but they're having trouble getting to talk. Partially because the local's jaw fell off, so it gets reattached. And their prisoner explains that Genosha is literally the worst place for aliens that they could have landed. Everyone who lives on the island is a mutant. Explains, regular humans, but with powers. And so he's asked what his powers are. He says his mutant name is Explodey Boy. He blows stuff up. And so he blows up a good chunk of the invasion fleet. And promptly gets part of his upper torso chopped into. Kind of tickles. The Kotati who delivered the strike asks why Explodey Boy isn't dead, and he explains that he is dead. Undead. Whatever. The same as everyone else who lives here. But that's not their real problem. But that's not the Kotati's real problem. And Explodey Boy explains that there were 16 million mutants on this island who died. And 2 million of them were vegetarians. And so, mutant zombies versus alien plants. In Paris, Angel and M are meeting with some of the people from Noblesse Pharmaceuticals Corporation. And they're having lunch, also dealing with their bodyguard, Magic. Who explains that she's not spying on Monet and Angel. She's monitoring them for redundancy. And so, with that, they end up deciding to go back to Krakoa. However, on Krakoa, Black Tom is saying something's wrong with, something's choking the life out of some of the tendrils that he can monitor. Angel arrives and talks with Xavier, who explains that it's more wanting to make sure that the talents of Monet and Angel are in the right place, not that they're doing the right thing. And so, Angel asks what Black Tom's upset about. Quick team is put together. Angel, Monet, Magic. Magneto informs them that they can take one more citizen. So, Angel decides to go with Multiple Man. They see something coming. It's the Kotati, running and being chased by zombies. M takes on her penance form. Her and Magic wade through the Kotati and the zombies. And Magic opines that, maybe Devil's Advocate, but that kind of felt like a first wave. Meanwhile, Jamie's at the gate trying to figure out what's wrong with it, and he explains he may have found the problem. No one's been pulling the weeds. So, he makes about 60 dupes right quick. Take care of the gate. Zombies head through, and it's kind of head towards the gate. But Monet kind of says, they're not going to trample the gate. They're Genosian zombies, meaning they're mutants. They have the X gene. They'll still pass through the gate if they'll rush Krakoa. But there's a popping sound from the gate, and suddenly there's slime. The dupes are all holding slime, and then a massive deluge of slime comes out of the gate. And out of it comes horde culture. Those old ladies from one of the early issues of the current X-Men book. They explain that they're horde culture and they're here because they know plants. One of the members asks Angel if he knows what makes plants grow. She explains, and she quickly answers with a whole lot of bullshit. So, next issue. Alien plants versus mutant zombies versus old ladies. I am strangely looking forward to that, actually. And that's it. That's where the issue ends, and that is it for this week's roundup. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.